Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to another live stream here on the channel. Hopefully everyone is having a fantastic Saturday so far. Let's see, we have in here so far. We have Caleb, Tracy, Western Weather, Random Guy, let's see, Z2K, also have Maybe in here, and I'm going to go down a little further, Weather Warrior, Veronica, Ripper, Bro, Proxy, glad to see you guys all in here, and everyone else in the chat. And everyone else who is watching who may not be chatting. Glad to have you in here, Humble as well. Alrighty, let's go to switch over to our main scene. I'm still, actually, now I'm sick. I had an allergic reaction like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and now I'm sick, so that's so fun. So now I'm getting over a sickness that I got a day or two ago before my last stream, so that was fun. So hopefully I'm on the tail end of this sickness. I think I am, so we should be good to go to cover these upcoming days beginning tomorrow. We do have today's severe weather risk, but I'm not as interested in today as, you know, tomorrow looks like the big day, and Monday looks like a pretty big day as well. Today doesn't really look like that big of a day for tornadoes. It does look pretty big for severe weather overall, but not necessarily the tornado side of things. So yeah, hopefully, like I said, everybody's having a fantastic Saturday. There wasn't much tornado activity yesterday. For those who were wondering why I wasn't live yesterday, I just couldn't find the time to. I was very swamped yesterday. I wanted to go live, but I couldn't find the time till like 10 o'clock, and by then it was already too late. So we did have a little bit of tornado warnings yesterday, and I know we had 2 PDS severes for 2.75 inch hail, so we had some severe, definitely had some significant severe weather yesterday, and a few tornado warnings, but nothing that was like historic or very life-threatening. You know, we did have those big hailstones and a few warnings, but I don't think we had any confirmed tornadoes. And we didn't have any hailstones near that 4-inch diameter mark like the SPC was thinking for yesterday. So let me just make sure everything is good on my end here. We are good to go. So here is today's risk for severe weather. We've got a slight risk back here in Kentucky, as well as Indiana and Ohio. Or Illinois rather, not into Ohio, where that slight risk level 2 out of 5 is for today. Main threat in there, it's a chance for a brief weak tornado, but the main risk is definitely damaging winds and maybe some isolated hail up to an inch in diameter. But the primary threat is wind gusts upwards of 75 miles per hour if you live in that level 2 out of 5 slight risk there in Kentucky. But again, can't rule out a brief tornado. The main risk today is back here in Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, Colorado, that area right in this orange area you see on your screen here. The primary risk today, large hail upwards of about 2.5, 3 inches in diameter will be possible. And then damaging winds will probably be the primary risk today. Damaging winds up to 80 miles an hour, and then large hail kind of right with that as the primary risk, up to 3 inches in diameter. We do also have the risk for a few tornadoes today. I wouldn't rule out 1 or 2 strong tornadoes today, and I'll point where I think the greatest risk is for today. But the tornado risk isn't extremely impressive. I feel like the strong tornado threat's pretty conditional, so I just wouldn't rule out one brief strong tornado. But the main risk today, tornado-wise, is the threat for a few weak spin-ups and maybe one strong. Let's see here. Welcome, Hoops. Glad to see you in here. Ben, welcome back. Glad to see you in here. Hunter, glad to see you in here as well. Let's see. What's your guys' opinion on a day 3 moderate? I think it's less likely now than yesterday. Yesterday, I was more on board with the day 3 moderate, but a little bit less confident in a day 3 moderate. But we definitely could see it here in an hour 15 minutes, which or an hour 8 minutes, which I plan to be live for. We'll be live for the 3:30 p.m. day 3 update. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't rule it out, but I don't think they should pull it. I don't think they should pull it just yet. So there's today's risk. I'll go more in depth in just a bit. Let's go to tomorrow's risk, which has changed pretty exponentially over the last couple hours here. We've seen the introduction of a 15 Sig 1 tornado risk. So tomorrow is the type of day that is a particularly dangerous type of day where we are looking at the potential for 1 or 2 long-tracked strong tornadoes. And I do think tomorrow should go moderate. As long as our moisture return is good enough, I think tomorrow has a pretty good chance to go moderate for tornadoes. The only reason I see tomorrow not being moderate worthy is let me see here. I want to say probably the only reason is maybe storms grow upscale too fast. I think that could be the only reason tomorrow doesn't go moderate. But regardless of if tomorrow will go moderate or not, we're looking at a very dangerous day if you live in this 10% hatched or 15 hatched area. And unfortunately, that includes very populated areas like Sioux City and Sioux Falls in South Dakota, also Yankton, South Dakota. So a decently populated 15 sig risk there. Not extremely populated, but still looking at about 500,000 people under the gun for long track strong tornadoes. That's a pretty good amount of population. The damaging wind risk tomorrow is also quite elevated, and I do think that this 30% could shift a little bit further to the north. This red area could shift a little bit more to the north depending on how far north our moisture return gets. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a few wind gusts around the realm of 80 to 85 miles per hour tomorrow, somewhere in that red area. And I wouldn't be shocked either if that red area gets shifted a little bit further south, south and north. I'll go more in depth in that in just a bit. Hail risk tomorrow is the most widespread, although it may not be the biggest problem. I think the tornado threat's the biggest problem. Followed by damaging winds and then hail. Hail may not be the biggest problem, but it's going to be the most widespread problem. We could have widespread hailstones around 2 inches in diameter, and a few could approach 2.5, 2.75 inches in diameter. But I think hail will be the most widespread issue, but not necessarily the biggest issue for tomorrow. So there's your risk area, big level 1, big level 2, and even a decently sized level 3 out of 5 for severe weather tomorrow. So please stay weather aware if you're in any of those shaded areas, especially that level 3 out of 5 orange area. What's up, Legacy? Glad to see you in here. Welcome to the stream. We also have our day 3 risk for severe weather. Now, day 2, day 3 here, Sunday, Monday, both days kind of have still the same ceiling. I think Monday's ceiling is a little bit higher now. At this point, from what I've seen on the newest runs, it looks like Monday's probably trended towards the more significant day. But tomorrow, quite easily, could be, I wouldn't say a sleeper day, but kind of an overshadowed day, right? Everybody's focused on Monday. Everybody thinks Monday's the big day. Monday, moderate. Monday, high risk. And people could be kind of overlooking the day 2 risk for Sunday tomorrow. So don't overlook this risk. I definitely think that this could end up being a pretty big tornado day back up in this area here. So don't overlook that. But day 3 is still likely to be a very significant day. We have a much larger area. I think this will be the most widespread significant day out of the next 3 to 4 days for severe weather potential. We have that huge level 2 out of 5 slight risk for severe weather, stretching from northern Michigan all the way down till north central Texas here, and then a huge level 3 risk encompassing a good chunk of Iowa into northwest Missouri, southeast Nebraska, much of central eastern Kansas, and even into north central Oklahoma. So very large risk areas for tomorrow. A lot of people under the gun for significant severe weather tomorrow. Or not tomorrow, I said tomorrow, my bad. That's day 3, that's Monday. My bad. This is tomorrow's risk. This is Monday's risk. And we also have something a little bit different here. So we've got 3 groups here. We have actually really 4 main groups here. We have our slight risk level 2 out of 5. That's just your normal slight risk. That's 15% risk for severe weather, just an ordinary slight. But then we have this unhatched 30 percentile right here, which is a very high-end echelon 30%. And I wouldn't be shocked if they end up pushing that enhanced risk further up to the northeast. So if you're in that 30%, you're not in a enhanced risk 3 out of 5 for severe weather, but you are in a very, you're still in a very high echelon threat for severe weather. It just means those storms could be pretty widespread in coverage, but they may not be very significant. So we may not be looking at, the threat for 85 mile an hour winds up here in Wisconsin, whereas back down in Iowa, that's probably what we're looking at. We're most likely looking at upwards of 80, 85 mile an hour winds here in Iowa. And then we actually have this right in here, which is the first time in history ever since they started this outlook only 3 months ago, so doesn't really say much. But the first time we've ever had a day 3 SIG 2. These are very, very rare, and probably something that you're going to see more common on days that end up going day 1 high. So this is definitely the type of day where if things trend the right direction, we could easily get a high risk for severe weather across Kansas, Nebraska, and Oklahoma. So it is definitely the type of day that you want to be very, very, very hyper weather aware for. I don't think they're going to pull a day 3 moderate yet, which would be adding a 45 percentile to this. But I do think we will end up with a moderate risk at some point, and then I do think we could be debating a high risk by the time we get to day 1, if things keep going the way they're going. So big time severe weather there. We're looking at very large hailstones, likely right around the realms of 3 to 4 inches in diameter, right around the realms of 90 mile an hour winds, and most likely multiple strong to intense tornadoes, a few possibly being long tracked, and probably the opportunity for a violent tornado as well for day 3 being, let's see, that's being Monday. So a very, very serious day for severe weather for Monday. And then we could go on into day 4. This is Tuesday. Not very impressed. Tuesday's meh. It is now a slight risk for severe weather, which I didn't think it would be, but they did pull a slight risk for severe weather. And I don't think this day will be extraordinarily significant, but I think it will be very widespread. So this is going to be the type of day where we see very widespread 60 to 75 mile an hour wind gusts and widespread 1 to 2 inch hail and maybe a few brief weak tornadoes. But I don't see the tornado threat being all that high right now for day 4, Tuesday. But definitely a day where you want to be weather aware. That's for sure. So I want to kick off our more in-depth discussion here in a little bit of an odd spot. Here is the CFS extended range. This is version 2, so it's what we like to normally use, and it's actually using the GEFS, not actually the CFS, even though it's called CFS. It's using the GFS. But this is a type of signal I can't recall ever seeing, which is pretty ironic. I can't even recall days like March 14th or March 15th being this high of a signal for severe weather. So it's very strange to see that so high end. I mean, it's hard to get this to 1. It's hard to get this black line. Like, it takes a big signal for that to stay at 1 all the way till day 1. So the fact that that is maintaining a 3 to 4 is borderline almost unheard of 2 to 3 days out. So very, very shocking high-end signal there from our daily sum of supercell composite. And then this is something that I have seen before. I saw this on March 14th. I saw a signal like this where we started seeing all these numbers almost at or higher than 2,000, 2,000, which I don't know exactly like what that correlates to, but just know the higher the number, the higher the threat for severe weather. And typically anything over 1,000 is a significant day for severe weather. So this is some of these are at, the lowest is 1,400 back up in here, but the highest, I think this gets to 5,000 in some spots. Yeah, this one right here is at 5,000, and then a good majority of these are between 2,000 and 3,000. So our high end is definitely easily high risk, but our medium is probably a moderate risk right now for day 3, again, being Monday. And then you could see Sunday, some of these are decent for Sunday, but most, if tomorrow's already a 15 sig 1, then what is the day after the 15 sig 1 going to be? So that's why I do think that we are looking at a high risk caliber event being possible if we keep trending this direction. Another thing that puts us into perspective is the anomaly. So this is how above average or below average the supercell composite on that said day is. Some of these are 5. Like, we are 3 to 5 supercell composite above average for this day in May. Based from 1979 to 2010. So these are very high-end echelon numbers here. And the control member is roughly right around 3 to 3.5. So a very, very significant signal on all of these products. Very much significant. Let's see here. I don't think a high risk will actually be issued. I mean, you don't know that. It could be. It just depends on how we trend over the next 48 hours. But I think we should get a day 2 moderate. And who knows? Maybe they go day 3 moderate. We definitely... It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if we look at the NAM here. It definitely wouldn't surprise me if we end up with a day 3 moderate risk. The big question would be exactly where. I really wouldn't be surprised. The highest risk looks to be all the way from like central Iowa all the way back down to northern Oklahoma. So I don't think they'd do that big of a moderate, but I mean, you never know. And another big problem is it looks like the main threat is going to be very late evening and well into the overnight hours here. So, yeah, I think, yeah, let me go check the RFSA. I know this model run has been handling this pretty horribly. but I think it uptrended at the 12Z run. I checked it earlier this morning. I believe it did. So hopefully this is at least a little bit more on par with what we're thinking for the 18th. And I mean, it's the RRFSA, right? So I couldn't tell you if this is a type of risk on the RRFSA that's like, yeah, that's a moderate risk caliber, but RRFSA just sucks. I don't know why we're replacing so many model runs with that garbage, but it is what it is, you know. can't stop it from happening, unfortunately. I think 18Z will determine if it goes moderate or not. I don't even know if we're going to get 18Z in before the moderate is issued, or if it before the outlook comes out. Let's see. Yeah, I was thinking Kansas. I was thinking Kansas for a moderate. But the placement would be a little bit tricky, so I wouldn't I definitely wouldn't be surprised if they hold off on it, and I wouldn't be surprised if they pull it. What's the wrap here? Let's see what the wrap has. Wrap is a little bit more north and a little less amplified, but I do think at some point we'll get a moderate for Monday. I do think we will. The RRFSA has literally only nailed one risk. I have seen full-blown degreed PhD meteorologists hate the RRFSA. I have seen broadcast meteorologists also hate on it too. So, believe me, the RFSA sucks. How about, I'll do an Uno reverse card. People who think the RFSA is good actually have a skill issue. There's your little Uno reverse card. If you think it's good, it's a skill issue. Because it ain't good. I haven't seen it good for anything. Think the enhanced risk could expand into Minnesota for Sunday? Is it, yeah, it's already in Minnesota. And the enhanced is already into Minnesota. I think it could go a little bit further to the north, but not by much. I don't think it will go drastically further north. It comes down to moisture return, because if we take a look, the moisture return... see, the wrap is very much different. Very much further to the north. But models are relatively consistent that moisture stops in southwestern Minnesota. So I think if it's expanded further, it won't be by much. It won't be but by, like, a county or two. Because your 15 Sig 1 already goes into the first county of southwestern Minnesota, so... Yeah, if they expanded, it won't be by much. That 10 Sig could just pull up by another county or two. But I don't think the outlook by the SPC is bad for tomorrow. This is the HRRR for tomorrow. 12Z model one. And this one's a little bit more on the aggressive side of things. But it does have a bit more of a sloppy storm mode for tomorrow. So it's a little bit of a sloppy mode, but it's still a very high-end echelon environment that would, in my opinion, warrant a moderate for tornadoes. because I think that this environment would be capable of producing the risk for an EF3 tornado as well, which is SIG 2. But the biggest question lies on how fast storms go linear, because if they go linear too fast, that could definitely decrease the maximum potential of tornadoes for tomorrow. And then for today, we'll go to a newer model run. This is today the only semi-decent risk for tornadoes I see today. If I were chasing, there's really only two areas. There's some land spout potential here in eastern Colorado. And then there's probably some actual good tornado potential back out here. Maybe a little bit further off to the southwest. So those are the two areas I'd be watching today for the greatest tornado potential. But today does not impress me whatsoever. I don't think today is going to be a big day for tornadoes. I think if we get a discrete storm, that's going to be where our severe threats are maximized. But most likely today's just going to feature 60, 70 mile an hour wind gusts, maybe a random gust to 75, 1 to 2 inch hail. And if there's a discrete storm, maybe up to 3 inch hail if a discrete storm like this can form all by its own in Nebraska. And then a few weak, brief spin-up tornadoes, maybe one strong. Welcome, Lucy. Our mod dome is holding pretty strong, ain't it? Definitely is. Yeah, 15 Sig 1 is no longer moderate. So there's high confidence in EF2 tornadoes tomorrow, but that confidence isn't high enough for a moderate, which would be EF3 plus tornadoes. So we're looking at a few strong tornadoes, maybe one long tract for Sunday in that red area. And yeah, I do think it will go SIG 2 though. I do think tomorrow should go moderate. But I understand why they kept it enhanced right now. The SIG risks are really good. It's a little bit difficult to point them all out to the public, but it's really, SIG risks are really good. Severe weather chances looking like it, not including my mod dome. Well, your biggest day is definitely Tuesday. We don't really have any great model data for Tuesday, but definitely looking at the risk for some damaging wind, small hail, and I wouldn't rule out a brief tornado. But we'll have to see how it looks. You know, tomorrow night will be when we get better data for Tuesday. But at least the risk for some damaging winds. Only violent tornadoes in a SIG 1? Well, SIG 1 is EF2 or greater, so. We could have SIG 1 is intensity of tornadoes at or potentially greater than EF2 for maximum intensity. So, like tomorrow, we're looking at the risk for that SIG 1. Means that we could see a few strong EF2 tornadoes, maybe even one greater than EF2. EF3, now if we start talking about a few EF3s, they put a SIG 2 in here, that would be, a few EF3 tornadoes, maybe even a violent one possible. And then when you have SIG 3, which is extraordinarily rare for tornadoes, that's when you're looking at, multiple EF4 tornadoes, maybe even the risk for an EF5. But the SIG 3 tornado risk, we're probably not even going to get that, but like once every few years. Yeah, that's going to be as rare as like a 45% tornado risk. You're not going to see it much at all. It's going to be very rare to get a SIG 3. Very, very rare. So again, I'll go back to what's most important with these SIG risks. And that's this down in here, right here. Let's see, there you go. So in SIG 1, you could see in SIG 1, 14% tornadoes were greater than EF2. And then in SIG 2, 18% or more tornadoes were EF2. And in SIG 3, 22% or more tornadoes were EF2. And you could also see the majority of violent tornadoes occurred in SIG 3, and the majority of intense tornadoes occurred in SIG 3. So this shows you it's proven statistics that as you go up with the SIG groups, the SPC's SIG risk for EF2 plus, EF3 plus, EF4 plus tornadoes has verified very well in the past. And even their wind risks verified very well in the past as well. Apparently they have done a SIG 3 wind risk before. I would be very curious what risk they did that for. And then even the hail risks have verified very well too. So SPC, they know their stuff, man. And like I said, I think the SIG risks are very, very good. I think there's still a little bit of some debate and some room for improvement, but it's been fairly well in my opinion. But I do think they may have been a little bit too lenient on SIG 2. Like, we've definitely had like 2 or 3 days in the past that should have been SIG 2 and just weren't. And some of y'all in chat said the reason was like the S2P wasn't high enough. One of those cases easily would be the day we had that Enid tornado. Was easily should have been a SIG 2. I think the only reason why it wasn't is because S2P wasn't high enough, which was not very... Obviously, it didn't matter a huge amount because we still ended up with an EF4 tornado. Speaking of that tornado, they upgraded it to 180. If you guys didn't see, the Enid tornado's been upgraded to EF4 180. Let me go to... We got to go check 2 of our things here. We've been checking CSU a lot. And the NSSL GFS risk. So here's CSU for today. Let's see what it has. Yeah, so it has that highest risk right back in here. And I agree with that. I think our greatest risk today is probably going to be focused in that near that corridor. If we go to the HRRR here, somewhere in here I think is our greatest risk for severe weather today. But still, I still think even back out here in northwest Kansas, southwest Nebraska, this is still a pretty high-end threat for severe weather. CSU doesn't do too well with these dry microbursts or just microburst threats as a whole. We saw that the other day with the Rockies event, so CSU definitely sleeping on that western risk today. And then tomorrow, it has a very tiny 16% TOR, pretty much right on that tri-state border, right where the SPC has their 15% for tornadoes. I don't know about that. This has the highest risk in Iowa. I don't know about that. Yeah. I don't know about that. I feel like the highest risk for Monday is going to be back in this exit region down in here. That's what I'm thinking. I don't think it'd be that far to the north. Unless it's picking up on QLCS spam, which it could be. Wouldn't surprise me. What's that look like on here? Yeah, it has a moderate for hail in Kansas. You see its highest hail prob is in Kansas. I think that's where the highest tornado probability is going to be, in my opinion. I don't think... I know for a fact Iowa's going to have good tornado potential, but I don't think the absolute highest tornado prob is going to be in Iowa. I feel like it's going to be in Kansas. Anyway, Monday could bust. Yeah, there's plenty of ways Monday could bust. Yeah. I think probably the number one way is the crashing cold front, which is where the cold front's fast enough to where it just grows everything upscale and we just end up with a line. But let me tell you, if we just end up with a line, guess what? Monday's going to have derecho potential. So if we do get a crashing cold front, it could crash it so hard to where it's derecho potential. But I don't think that will be the case. Because when you have 4,500, 4,000, when you have 4,000 to 5,000 instability and a fast-moving, crashing cold front, that easily could be a recipe for intense, widespread, damaging winds. Like, we'd be talking about this entire area being at risk for the potential of a derecho if that crashing cold front crashes quick enough. Which, I wouldn't rule that out. I wouldn't rule that out. I could tell you this, if that does happen, the potential for EF3 or EF4 tornadoes is going to be very, very low on Monday. We would most likely end up with a lot of QLCS spam of EF0, EF1 tornadoes, maybe a handful of strong EF2 tornadoes. But a crashing cold front like this would definitely promote that huge damaging wind risk. We'd be talking about wind risks, maybe even upwards of 100-mile-an-hour winds possible. But I don't think that will be the case. I don't think we'll actually see that intense of a crashing cold front. Like, the GFS doesn't have it. Really, the only model one that shows it that intense is the NAM. Let's see. Do I have severes turned off? Okay. Sweet. Here's the high-res Canadian. Yeah, I mean, look at that. I'd have to imagine that would have some pretty good damaging winds with it. Well into the overnight hours. This is using the Canadian high res, but it's not as strong of a crashing cold front. See the difference between how sharp it is on the NAM and then how it's not as sharp on some of these other models. So if you have that sharp access where you go from 70 dews to 50 dews, that's a very clear crashing cold front. I definitely wouldn't throw out the NAM. The NAM is actually pretty good. The 3K, yeah, I mean, the 3K sucks. NAM 3K is pretty dog water. But the NAM 12K, I've actually grown to like it a lot this year. I don't think we'll see a 60%. Well, I mean, I don't think we will, but I don't know. If it is a crashing cold front, it easily could verify as a 60%. So, I'd say it's on the table, but I wouldn't say we're, like, gonna see it. It just depends which way we trend. I'm very curious to see what the SPC has to say in 30 minutes. Yeah, I remember the Pittsburgh event. Pittsburgh. Derecho. I think there's a higher chance they drop the SIG 2 than go moderate. No. SPC doesn't downgrade unless it's a very clear cut. Not gonna happen. And even then, often they keep it until a cold front passes. It's extraordinarily rare to see the SPC drop a risk. They are not going to drop. There's no reason to drop SIG 2. I fully agree with the SIG 2. I fully agree with the SIG 2 and the placement of the SIG 2. If anything, they might expand the SIG 2 up into Iowa. And maybe even add a moderate. But I wouldn't be surprised if they do multiple things. I wouldn't be surprised if the SIG 2 goes up into Iowa. I wouldn't be surprised if the SIG 2 stays where it is. I wouldn't be surprised if the SIG 2 goes up into Iowa and they add a moderate. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't change a thing. Only thing that would surprise me is if they go like 60% SIG 2. Can they do that? I'm pretty sure they can. Let's see. Not here. What am I doing here? Yeah. That'd be the only thing that would surprise me is if they go 60% SIG 2. That would be insane. I think that's nearly impossible that you go 60% SIG 2 on a day 3 outlet. That the confidence needed for that would just be absurd. Could Tulsa be added to the enhanced? It all depends on the timing of the cold front. Right now, I say no. But if the cold front's quicker, yeah. But right now, no. Could they issue a SIG 3 risk for winter tornadoes? We're not going to get a SIG 3 for Tor, I can tell you that. Not out of this setup. It would take a God-given miracle for that to happen. Something would have to change exponentially in just like the craziest uptrend we've seen in the 21st century for that to happen. For wind, right now, I also doubt it. That would be 94 mile-an-hour winds or greater expected. 95 plus mile-an-hour winds for SIG 3, and I don't think we're at that caliber of an event. Now, if everything goes right and we get the crashing cold front to be a little bit sooner, then maybe. Maybe. We just got to find out the timing of the cold front. If the cold front's faster, that will allow for a greater wind risk and a little bit lower of an EF3 plus tornado risk. If the cold front's slower, that might downgrade a little bit of the widespread damaging wind risk and the high-end the high-end wind speeds from the wind threat. But that would also drastically increase the tornado threat. So really, no matter what happens, it's lose-lose. Like either your wind threat downgrades and your tornado threat upgrades, or your tornado threat downgrades and your wind threat upgrades. There's no scenario that's like great. And remember, the last time we were talking about a crashing cold front was April 17th, I believe. Almost, wow, I believe literally like almost a month to the day. This is on the 18th, so it will be a month and 1 day on May 18th. And that day ended up being the biggest tornado outbreak this entire year so far. So Twitter also likes to say that a crashing cold front means like there's no tornado threat and there's like no severe threat. when you hear crashing cold front over there, it sounds like the end of the world, and we're not going to see a single thing. It's going to be the end of the world forecast standpoint, but yeah, crashing cold fronts can very much deliver all hazards still. Typically, when Twitter refers to it as a crashing cold front, what they mean is the cold front simply so fast that it crashes the potential for discrete storms. So it's not really a fun chase day. Let's see. Monday? Numerous strong thunderstorms are expected to develop Monday along a cold front and dry line extending from the Great Lakes into the central to southern plains. Supercells capable of all hazards, including very large hail and strong to intense tornadoes, will be possible across central Kansas into southern Nebraska. As the front shifts southward through time, upscale growth will be favored with increasing probability for damaging winds. This combination with the potential for very large hail may warrant higher severe probabilities as mesoscale details become clearer. So, yeah, they're already mentioning a moderate risk upgrade possible there. I didn't realize that till now. So SPC's already talking about a moderate risk. I was at the morning outlook. My day's been really good so far. I'd like to get over this dumb sickness that I've had for, it's already over 2 weeks, so that'd be great. Hasn't been that fun, but I've had a good day aside from that. So yeah, we're gonna stay live till that even a little after that SPC outlook comes out because I want to see the whole thing. This is the NSSL outlook. What is this? This is actually something different. Let me pull up. This is perfect tornado probabilities for those of you who haven't seen it before. So that you go back to this perfect tornado probabilities was a high risk for tornado probabilities on March 15th this year. That was at QLCS spam. Look at that. QLCS spam was so crazy, it actually had a 60% tornado risk. Is the perfect probability of Western Iowa. Or freaking Eastern Iowa, Western Illinois. It's Illinois. Dummy. This is it for today, which I don't disagree with. I definitely think that's really the main area we're watching today. I would say maybe a little bit further south, maybe a little bit more like this on those tail end probabilities, but generally right in that area is where I think our greatest severe threat is today. Tomorrow it has a moderate, almost exactly where the SPC has their moderate risk. Although this does look to be a tiny bit further off to the south and west than the SPC. And then Monday, it does not have a moderate for Monday, but it does highlight that same corridor we were thinking from northern Oklahoma till somewhere around in central Iowa for the greatest severe potential. And then I don't know why it has a random enhanced in Virginia. Like, what? See, that's the thing with this product. Sometimes it throws out stupid stuff like that. Like, look at that. Ain't barely, there's like a 10% chance for rain out there. And this product throws an enhanced risk out there for severe weather. Like, why? Why? There's not even, there's a little rain shower there. That's it. This is for Tuesday. Highest severe probs up in New York, but also some back down here in Missouri. But the main point being is this is going to be a widespread day for probably damaging winds, small to large hail, and maybe a few brief tornadoes. And then Wednesday, that shifts a little bit closer to the U.S. coastline. And then Thursday, I don't know about that. I feel like it might be offshore there. If we go look here, Wednesday, this is Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday, I do think we'll have the risk for severe weather along the coastal areas in the U.S. And then I feel like Thursday, it's going to be offshore. Yeah, I don't really see much of a risk for Thursday. I think that's overdoing Thursday's probs. But I do think we could keep seeing that damaging wind risk on Wednesday continue to the coastline of the eastern U.S. So this has tomorrow being the biggest day for severe weather. Yeah, like I mentioned, I wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be surprised if, how far southwest does that enhanced go tomorrow? Yeah. I wouldn't, it's not that bad. But I wouldn't be surprised if they extend that 10 sig a little bit further off to the south, but it's not that far north, so it's not a bad outlook. It's not a bad outlook. It just wouldn't surprise me if they pull that 10% a little further south. I'm actually just thought of this. NATO cast. Better use it while we still have it, right? Because it ain't sticking around for too much longer. 12Z NATO cast. Let's see. Just tornadoes. It's for today. Okay, I completely agree with that. Like I mentioned earlier in the live stream, generally those are your two areas for your best tornado potential today. Fully agree. Is this the one for tomorrow? Ooh, interesting. Non-hatched, even down into south central Nebraska. So yeah, that's a little bit further off to the east than I was expecting. That's definitely a little bit further east into Iowa than I was thinking, and then also that 50% don't know what bro's doing down there, but he's there in southern Nebraska. This is brought to you solely by the HRRR model run. That's what that looks like. It looks like it just took the HRRR model run and then just printed probabilities over it. That's what it looks like right there. I feel like that's heavily reliant on the HRRR. I don't fully disagree with it, but I don't fully agree with it, right? I don't fully disagree, but I don't fully agree. It's just there. Right now, I think the best outlook is the SPC. The only thing I change personally from what I'd see, the only thing I'd expect to change from the SPC's outlook is maybe a little expansion to the west-southwest of that 10%. But I really think the SPC's outlook is almost perfect for tomorrow right now with the data that we've been given. NATO cast doesn't go out for Monday. If you're asking about NATO cast. Ooh, I wanted to check this too. HREF. Now, this thing was an absolute bust last time I used it. Ooh, it ironically has a 10% tour in southern Iowa today. I cannot say I agree with that. I do think our greatest tornado potential, though, is focused in that corridor. I do think our greatest tornado potential is in this corridor in here. Wow. Very, very conservative. Okay, well, actually, this is just a copy of the SPC Outlook right there. But it's strange because the 4-hour probability barely has a 10%, but the 24-hour probability has a 15%. So that's it for tomorrow. That's it for today. I don't agree with that 10%. I think our greatest tornado threat today is indeed focused in that corridor, which we just got a new HRRR run. 18Z run. And that is coming in very aggressive, actually, for northern Missouri. It's actually coming in very aggressive. I bet there's a lack of lower level wind shear. Oh, actually not. So if that does come to fruition, definitely cannot rule out a strong tornado in northern Missouri today. This is out till 09Z Sunday, so this won't go out all the way till Monday. It might be close. I was going to say it won't go all the way out to 18Z Monday until after the SPC outlook, but it's going to be pretty close. Regardless, I don't think this model run's going to be taken into consideration for the day 3 outlook. Because I believe that the day 3 outlook will already be made before that's done. I didn't even watch Trey's forecast. I didn't get a chance. I've been slacking on my Trey watching. But yeah, no surprise that he likes northern Missouri. I think that's actually where the greatest tour potential is today. Strange too. I'd expect there to be like a warm front there, but not really. Anyway, if I were chasing today, I'd go northern Missouri all the way. Really isn't another area I'd want to go to. You could go to eastern Colorado, northwestern Kansas, but I think the best, safer bet is northern Missouri. Why anyone trust CSU is balling me? I like to look at it, but I don't trust it per se. If I had to choose like between SPC and CSU, I'm choosing SPC 10 out of 10 times. It's just like another tool in the toolbox, you know? It's not something you want to take seriously, but it's something that you can look at and go, okay, yeah, I could see what it's showing and, you know, why it's showing that. But it's not really something that you want to take to heart and be like, this is the outlook I'm listening to. Because it's not that good. It's, like I said, I think it's best in the day 4 to 6 range, looking at those mid-range signals. And then once it gets to day 3, it just tends to be more inaccurate. So I think really its best day is day 4, day 5, day 6. I think that's when it's most useful for sniffing out SPC risks. Or just greatest risks overall. CSU's actually done a pretty good job at kind of like predicting where the SPC may end up putting their risks at. So it's definitely not the worst thing, but it's definitely not the best thing. Moderate will be issued for Kearney, Missouri Monday. No, I think you're a little too far east. I think you are too far east. I wouldn't rule it out, but I do believe you are just the tiniest bit too far to the east. Because you're like right up in here somewhere. I forgot exactly where. But somewhere up in there. And I think if we see a moderate, it's going to be in this area. That's the area where I think we have a chance at a moderate risk at some point. And I think that would be just, yep. I think it'd be just to your north. Now, I don't actually think that entire area will be under a moderate risk, but That's just like the general area where I think our greatest severe threat will be on Monday and where we have a chance for the SPC to upgrade. Let's see. MCD, sweet. Let me see. You're close as well. You're close. I don't think you will be under the gun for a moderate, but whether you get in a moderate or not, it doesn't matter a bunch. Regardless, you're in the enhanced risk and you're in the main risk for significant severe weather. Don't get too caught up in the probabilities. Yes, the probabilities are very much important, but the same general idea stands is that you're in a moderate, or you're not in a moderate. The same general idea stands that you're in an enhanced. You're in a level 3 out of 5. So don't get caught up like, oh, if I'm in the moderate, I need to pay attention, and if I'm in the level 3 out of 5 enhanced, I don't. That's not the case. If you're in the yellow or the orange here, you need to pay attention. And then if we get a red area, same thing, you need to pay attention. This is for Monday. So, yeah, it matters if you're like in a moderate risk, but I don't want you to get too caught up in it. Because some people will get too caught up in it, like I've done before. Yeah, if you're in the moderate, that's where you need to stay weather aware. But if you're not in the moderate, then you're fine. That's not the case. Even people in the slight risk on Monday will have a chance for tornadoes, and that's this yellow area. And you are in the red hatched area. Now, you're not in the second hatched area. This is our SIG 2 here. So we have SIG 1, SIG 2. So right now, that's where our greatest severe threat is, probability-wise. So once again, of course, probabilities matter, but don't get too sucked up into it. Ohio will have a chance for some severe weather on Tuesday. If you tuned the stream earlier, I did mention that for Michigan and Ohio on Tuesday. And I think I mentioned that in the day before yesterday's live stream and earlier today, but not a lot of Ohio. I think only the northwest side of Ohio. Like if you're towards Columbus, you're probably going to be fine. I think northwest Ohio, closer to Toledo. But if you're in like Columbus or Cincinnati, you may have a chance for some leftover severe Tuesday night, Wednesday, but not anything notable. Let's see. Oh yeah, I bet NAM3K ZHI is crazy. Like I said, don't the NAM3K typically overdoes environments and also over slop fests them. Unless it's Confluence Bands in Dixie Alley, then it underdoes convection. You're good. You're far enough east. I don't think either one of those areas in Ohio will get much. Jackson Center might have a chance for some like lightning Tuesday night. But I don't think you'll get anything good. I think our worst severe threat is going to skip right over much of the state of Ohio. Best chance is the more northwest you are, the better chance you have. And then as for Omaha, Nebraska, Sunday, big time. Sunday, if you are in Omaha, Nebraska, you need to be watching Sunday night closely. Actually, Sunday night and maybe Monday afternoon as well. Both days kind of have equal potential. To be honest with you, it actually looks like Monday's the bigger day right now. I was thinking Sunday was bigger, but my bad. Actually, it's going to be Monday. Still watch tomorrow very closely because I do think Omaha could get some very bad storms tomorrow night. But it looks like yeah, Monday. I take that back. Monday, 10 out of 10. Worse than tomorrow. I apologize. I didn't, for some reason, didn't realize Omaha was that far south. You know what it was? I was thinking Omaha was Sioux City. That's what it was. I got those two cities mixed up. So yeah, Omaha definitely needs to be watching Monday very, very closely. You guys could be under a big risk. Yay, spam call. Rose Hill, Kansas go moderate. Just south of Wichita. Yeah. Yeah. You sure can. You can? Will ya? I don't know. But you can. You have the chance. Wednesday, the highest threat for severe weather will be in probably eastern Pennsylvania. I'd say. Let me go take a look here. Yeah. So this is Wednesday's. This is an outlook based on model runs because we don't have one from the official Storm Prediction Center. That's highlighting eastern Pennsylvania for the greatest severe threat. So if you live in like Pittsburgh or north, you're fine. But if you live in central to eastern Pennsylvania, you might want to just keep an eye on the weather on Wednesday. Could get a little gusty. But I doubt it will be like a very significant day for severe weather. Just some gusty winds, maybe very small hail. That's about it. Let's see. SPC outlook very soon, by the way, y'all, for day 3. That's Monday. There it is. I was trying to find that town name. Apologies. You are, yeah, like you said, dead center of that 15% tornado risk tomorrow. The good news is, got good news, bad news. Bad news, you're in the 15% SIG 1 risk. Obviously, that's pretty bad news. The good news is, though, hopefully storms can intensify after they pass you, because it's going to be a very sharp line on where they fire. Right now, let's see what the HRRR has. We're getting a new one, but we're going to go do the old one first so you can see where you are. So you're in that circled area. And it has the worst storms firing right as they pass you. So I think the highest tornado threat will be very close to your area or just east of you. So definitely want to be hyper weather aware. And it wouldn't surprise me if we end up with a moderate risk for your location tomorrow. But the good news is I think storms might be able to fire maybe a little bit further east, and maybe they'll be worse east of you instead of over you. We're getting a new model run. We'll definitely stay live till that comes in for tomorrow. But it actually looks fairly impressive. I think tomorrow is probably going to be one of your biggest days for severe weather out of the whole year. All right, let's go to here. Time to start pulling up the SPC. See when that comes out. Ooh. Day 2, extremely critical fire risk. Not often you see that. We do see it a few times a year. It's not as rare as like a day 2 high risk or like actual high risk, but for fire, a day 2 extreme risk is pretty upper echelon. So, yeah, we got an outlook from the SPC coming out here in about 4 minutes. If they're late, you know what to do. Panic on Twitter. If the SPC... Wow. That is a crazy supercell in northeastern Colorado tomorrow. Look at that. That is insane. Wow. Huge hail out of that. Probably some pretty good 70 plus mile-an-hour wind gusts. Definitely would have a risk for a tornado out of that, but I doubt it would be like a crazy high tornado risk. Right on that boundary, though, so it definitely would have a tornado risk. And look at tomorrow on this model run. You just see this thing is gearing up for a big day. Oof. Yeah, I do think tomorrow is going to go moderate, especially if it looks like this is going to come to fruition. This model run is easily moderate risk worthy in this corridor. Easily moderate risk worthy right there. Hello, Catman. About time you tuned in. I mean, hi. Live to see if the SPC goes moderate on day 3. As for a live stream later, by the way, there is a chance I'm live later tonight, but I'm not going to be live before 6 o'clock. So I'll be on standby. I think like 7 o'clock I'll be free. So I'll keep an eye on it from like 7 to 10. So I wouldn't rule out a live stream between 7 and 10 p.m. Eastern. But I went live early to watch the day 3 outlook come out, and also just to make sure y'all are, hyper weather aware and know what's heading y'all's way and go over things. So if we need to, I might be back here between 7 and 10 Eastern. Maybe, maybe not. If not, I'll definitely be live tomorrow, I can tell you that. Golly. You know what this reminds me of? And it's only because of the location. April 26th, 2024. The most favorable environment isn't as far south as that day. It's a little bit further off to the north of Omaha. But it definitely reminds me of that type of day. But don't worry if you're watching from the Omaha Metro. We're not going to have that day all over again. Just the type of setup and the location of it kind of reminds me of that day. I think the worst tornado threat will be north of Omaha. Pretty well north of Omaha tomorrow. Like, Omaha's right here. And on this model run, the worst severe threat is up in here. Stays off to your west. Alright, if the outlook isn't out within the next 120-ish seconds, it's panic time. They're going day 3 high. It's not even possible, but we're going to pretend that it is, because if they're late, day 3 high. $3.30. They got less than 60 seconds before we all panic. I'm going to tweet day 3 high risk inbound. I want to see the rest of this run real quick. Yeah, see, on this run, that person's southeastern South Dakota. I mean, you're pretty much fine. Like, storms fire over you, and the worst is just off to your east. So, like, the highest risk in this model run is right in here. It's just off to your east. Or on... it, like, starts right on top of you. Yep, now... Oh, wow. Chat is panicking. Yep. Day 3, 60% SIG 3 tour inbound. Great. Now the question is, how long do we wait? I hope it's not too late, because I gotta go. I ain't gonna lie. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button with a notification bell set to all, because we'll be live tomorrow, maybe even tonight. And share this stream and the channel with your family, friends, social media. It's greatly appreciated. Hit that like button on this stream if you haven't already. Share the stream with your family, friends, social media. It's really, really appreciated. Help get the word out about our severe weather threat over the next few days. We're going to stay live for a little bit longer. And hopefully this doesn't take too long. Because I do have to go. I'm on a time limit recently. I've been busy. But my schedule is fully cleared for Monday, so... Thank goodness it's not next Monday, because I'm busy next Monday. So thank goodness it's this Monday, not next Monday. This really happened at perfect, like, Sunday, Monday. I have, like, nothing to do. I do have the race on Sunday, but it's not a points race. It's the all-star race. I just skip that. I like to watch races, but if it comes between covering a moderate risk or watching a race, I'm going to choose covering the moderate. I'm just assuming at some point they're going to go moderate for day 3. It's not now, though, because there's your outlook. I'm just curious, now that we know it stayed enhanced, they were literally 1 minute late. It took us 2 minutes to get it, but they were 1 minute late, technically. I'm curious to see if they expanded the enhanced anymore to the northeast. And like I said, not surprised I kept it enhanced. It's the safer bet anyways. It's more in line with the SPC. The SPC is typically on the more conservative. That's the word I'm looking for. More conservative side of things. Now we just got to see if they increase the SIG 2 props more to the northeast. Okay, I'm going to get this here. $12Z. Yeah, I already got the update on my end, but I haven't gotten the probability update. Please don't be one of those days where the probability update takes freaking 45 minutes. That happened not too long ago. Dang. Indiana severe warning. Oh, great. One of those updates where it's going to take 3 years. Is this it? No, it's not. Think the SIG 2 probs will go more south? Nah. If it goes anywhere, it'd be more north. Yeah, I don't think it'd go any more south. If it goes anywhere, it'd be more to the northeast. Still stuck at the 0730Z update. Theodore Johnson, thank you for becoming an EF1 member. Appreciate it. There it is. Yeah, it looks the exact same. Oh, they expanded the 30% probs into Illinois further. That looks to be like the only change. Let's see, we'll refresh this one more time. Just double check. Yep, there's the new outlook. So SIG 2 looks the same. Only good change looks to be like this tiny little expansion further into Western Illinois. That's it. Looks really the same discussion. A volatile environment is expected across parts of the warm sector, particularly across Kansas into Iowa, where significant all-hazard storms are expected. Well, that's moderate risk wording right there. Volatile environment. Volatile environment is expected. That's pretty high-end wording. 2 to 4 inch hail, strong to intense tornadoes, and damaging wind gusts. Uncertainty on the far northern extent of the severe threat. So they don't really, they don't mention an upgrade to moderate like they did in the last outlook, but basically borderline moderate risk wording right there. Maybe just not enough confidence for a 45% probability, but I think they could have pulled it. I think they probably should have, but it's the safe bet. SPC plays it safe 3 days out. There's nothing wrong with playing it safe. It's just, you can increase the lead time for severe potential, or just increase the lead time for the general public by issuing that 4 out of 5 probability 3 days out. But yeah, I see why they didn't want to. It's borderline moderate, but maybe just not enough confidence to actually pull that trigger just yet. So won't blame them. No, it's not bad. Like I said, it's not a bad thing that they didn't pull it. I was 50-50 on it anyways. Legacy, thank you for continuing your membership for 33 months. Gracious. You are about to be a member for 3 years in a row. Golly. That is insane. I still remember when I made the memberships. That's very wild. Very, very wild. Thank you for being a member that long. Nearing 3 years. But, alright. That's probably going to do it for me. I've got still 3 minutes before I start that outro music, but yeah, I just wanted to get on here and update you guys about these severe weather threats, and let you know about the severe threat. Like I said, we could do some coverage later on today between 7 and 10 Eastern, if it's needed. But aside from that, if I'm not live later tonight, I'll be live tomorrow. It's hard to say when. But I'll probably just do one live stream tomorrow. It'll probably just be the coverage live stream, because I doubt I'll have time to do a briefing. The race tomorrow's at like 1 o'clock, so if the race was at like 3, I would try to fit in a briefing between like 1 and 2, 1 and 3. But since it's not, we'll just do a little later live stream. So I'll be live whenever storms start looking like they're going to become significant, and we'll be live for a while tomorrow. So pretty long live stream likely tomorrow, and then Monday will be a very long live stream, assuming the forecast holds, one of the longer live streams of the year thus far. So I will talk to you guys maybe for a coverage stream tonight between 7 and 10 Eastern. If not, I will definitely talk to you guys tomorrow afternoon for our big severe weather risk there. And then, yes, Haley, I'm going live tomorrow. So with that being said, thank you, mods, for on chat. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you again, Legacy, for continuing your membership for 33 months, and Theodore Johnson now for being an EF1 member. On your way out, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and share the channel with your family, friends, and on social media. It's greatly appreciated. So I will see y'all, like I said, possible coverage live stream between 7 and 10 today. And then definitely a live stream tomorrow afternoon, and then definitely a live stream Monday. Well, now I got 40 seconds and nothing to say, so we're going to sit here in awkward silence. Nah, I'm just kidding. But yeah, just stay weather aware. I appreciate you guys for tuning in and sharing the stream. We reached just under 1,500 people, so I appreciate that greatly. I can't start the music early because if I do, then it's going to be awkward silence at the end, and we can't be having that. Yeah, tomorrow is Sunday. Unfortunately, tomorrow is already Sunday. It's going to be Monday before you know it. But anyways, stay safe. Watch the severe weather. May see you guys tonight. Definitely will see you tomorrow afternoon. Thank you, mods, for on chat, and everyone for being here. Goodbye. stay safe, watch the severe weather. Thank you, Mods for Mod in chat, and I'll see you guys later tonight or tomorrow. Have a great rest of your Saturday night. Goodbye.